Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Ready for another deep dive into some really fascinating stuff?
Absolutely. Always ready to explore the fringes of history and knowledge.
Well, today we're going deep into the hidden history of humanity. Our source material is this awesome YouTube video I found. It's by explorer and author LaCroix.
Oh, I've seen some of his work. He's the guy who had that crazy encounter with a moose, right?
Yeah, that's the one. The video is called Hidden History of Humanity, Sumerian, Akkadian, and Ancient Temples, and it ties that near-death moose experience into his whole journey into ancient mysteries. It's pretty wild.
Wow. From almost being trampled by a moose to deciphering ancient texts. That's quite a transition.
Seriously. But it kind of makes you think, what kind of experiences lead us down these paths of discovery?
Right. Like what makes someone dedicate their life to unearthing the secrets of lost civilizations?
Exactly. And in this video, LaCroix is diving deep into Sumerian and Akkadian texts, some of the oldest written records we have, right?
Yeah. Sumerian especially is considered a language isolate, meaning it has no known linguistic relatives. It's like a puzzle with missing pieces.
So how did they even begin to translate that stuff? It seems impossible.
It was a long and painstaking process, but, there was this scholar named George Smith back in the late 1800s. He basically cracked the code by working backward from later Akkadian and Assyrian texts.
So he found connections, like patterns that helped him understand the Sumerian language.
Yeah, exactly. He figured out that Akkadian and Assyrian were kind of like descendants of Sumerian, so by comparing them, he started to piece it together.
That's some serious linguistic detective work. He must have been thrilled when he finally started understanding those ancient writings.
Oh, absolutely. One of his biggest breakthroughs was deciphering the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Oh, wow. That's a classic. I remember reading that in college. Didn't realize it was such a crucial discovery in understanding Sumerian culture.
Yeah. And speaking of the Epic of Gilgamesh, it mentions this ancient city called Shuruppak, which was long considered just a myth.
Like a legendary city like Atlantis.
Exactly. But guess what?
They found it.
Yep. In 1931, archaeologists unearthed Shuruppak, turning myth into reality.
That's incredible. So it actually existed.
And there's more. During the excavations, they discovered a distinct flood layer, a layer of sediment with no human remains, suggesting a massive flood event.
So like actual physical evidence that might support those ancient flood stories.
It's pretty compelling evidence. LaCroix connects it to the biblical story of Noah's Ark and other flood myths found across different cultures.
Okay, so we've got a lost city found and possible evidence of a cataclysmic flood. What else does LaCroix uncover?
Well, he focuses on another city mentioned in the Sumerian king list, Ido.
Ido. Okay, and what's special about this one?
LaCroix points out that its main ziggurat, a massive stepped pyramid, is still unexcavated.
Huh. So we don't know what's hidden beneath it. I mean, is he suggesting they're deliberately not excavating it?
He raises the question of whether some sites are left untouched because they might challenge conventional narratives.
That's a pretty bold claim. Like, what if there's stuff down there that could rewrite history as we know it? I mean, are we talking ancient tech?
He actually goes there. LaCroix explores the possibility that a civilization existed like 42,000 years ago, one that had advanced technology, possibly even contributing to those incredibly sophisticated megalithic structures found worldwide.
Hold on. So he's saying that our timeline of human history, like what we learn in school, might be totally incomplete.
That's exactly what he's suggesting, and he even connects it to Edgar Cayce's ideas about Atlantis, dating back around 50,000 years ago.
Okay, now this is getting really interesting. So what evidence does he have to support this idea of a super advanced civilization, way back then?
Well, he uses sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey as an example. It's a complex with these massive stone pillars arranged in circles, and it dates back to around 10,000 BC.
10,000 BC. That's way before things like pottery and agriculture, right? Like we're talking hunter-gatherer times.
Exactly, and yet the level of architectural sophistication at Göbekli Tepe is mind-blowing. Like, it doesn't fit with our conventional understanding of early humans.
It's like finding a smartphone in a Stone Age cave. It makes you question everything you thought you knew.
Right. And LaCroix argues that these megalithic structures suggest a level of technological and social organization that we've overlooked.
So these ancient sites could be like pieces of a giant puzzle that we're just starting to put together. And this puzzle could lead us to a completely different understanding of human history and maybe even ourselves.
Exactly. It's like we're on the verge of discovering a lost chapter in the human story. And it's a chapter that might rewrite everything we thought we knew. So we've got these ancient sites, potential remnants of a lost civilization, but how do we tap into that knowledge? How do we even know it's there?
That's the big question, right? Like, is this knowledge written down somewhere? Are we talking like lost libraries of ancient wisdom?
Well, LaCroix thinks this knowledge is encoded in a different way, not through traditional writing, but through a complex system of symbols and motifs.
Oh, interesting. So that's like visual language, like hieroglyphs or something.
Kind of. He sees these ancient symbols as like a language of the universe, a way of conveying deep knowledge that goes beyond words.
Okay, so kind of like a universal code. I mean, where does he find these symbols?
He's particularly fascinated by the symbols found at Göbekli Tepe and other megalithic sites in eastern Turkey.
Those places we were talking about earlier, the ones that are like way older than they should be.
Yep. He thinks these sites hold the keys to understanding this lost wisdom.
So like specific symbols that unlock a deeper understanding. Can you give us an example?
Sure, one symbol he focuses on is the T-pillar. It's this three-tiered pillar design you see in various forms all over the world.
Like a universal architectural motif. Is that even possible? How could ancient cultures on different continents share the same design?
That's the mystery, right? Like, how could these cultures, separated by vast distances, have incorporated the same symbol into their structures? It's a question that's got researchers scratching their heads.
So this T-pillar, it's not just a coincidence. It has some deeper meaning.
Some scholars think the T-pillar represents the world tree, a concept that appears in a bunch of different mythologies. It's this idea of a tree connecting the heavens, earth, and the underworld.
Oh, wow, that's deep. So these symbols aren't just decorations. They're like reflections of ancient beliefs and understandings about the universe.
Exactly. It suggests a shared cosmology, a common worldview that connected these ancient cultures in ways we're only beginning to understand.
Okay, so what other symbols is he looking at?
Well, he also points to the recurring omega design, like the Greek letter.
Yeah, I know the omega symbol.
He believes it represents a doorway or a portal to higher consciousness.
Okay, now we're getting into some esoteric territory. Is he talking about like astral travel or out-of-body experiences?
Well, he connects the symbol to structures like the Susi temples in eastern Turkey, noting how they resemble ancient temples and chambers found in other parts of the world. These structures might have been designed as spaces for accessing different states of consciousness, perhaps through specific rituals or practices.
So like ancient technology, but for the mind.
It's a fascinating idea, isn't it? It's like these ancient builders understood principles of energy and consciousness that we're only now beginning to rediscover.
Okay, so LaCroix is on this quest to decode these ancient symbols to unlock the wisdom they hold. Is he working alone on this, or does he have a team?
He's actually working on a documentary with experts from different fields like archaeologists, anthropologists, people who can help decipher these ancient codes.
It's like a real-life Indiana Jones adventure, except instead of searching for some lost artifact, they're trying to unlock ancient knowledge.
And the knowledge they uncover could potentially change our understanding of who we are and where we come from.
And maybe even where we're going, because LaCroix also talks about this cyclical view of history. He suggests that civilizations rise and fall, like a pattern that repeats itself.
Yeah, he's not a fan of the linear view of history, the idea that we're constantly progressing towards something better. He thinks catastrophic events might have played a role in the collapse of advanced civilizations in the past.
He specifically mentions the Younger Dryas impact, right? Isn't that the theory about a comet hitting Earth like 12,000 years ago?
That's the one. It's a pretty controversial theory, but it's gained some traction in recent years.
So how does LaCroix tie this event into the downfall of ancient civilizations?
He sees it as an example of how sudden, unexpected events can disrupt the course of human history, wiping out entire cultures and resetting the trajectory of civilization, like a cosmic reset button.
So he's saying that we might not be as safe and secure as we think we are.
He definitely doesn't rule out the possibility that something similar could happen again.
Wow. So we've got ancient symbols, lost civilizations, and the possibility of cosmic catastrophes. This is getting pretty intense. What else does LaCroix cover?
Well, he ties this whole cyclical view of history into the ancient Hindu concept of yuga cycles. These are vast cycles of time that describe the rise and fall of civilizations over thousands of years.
So like a cosmic calendar with different eras or ages?
Yeah, and each yuga cycle is said to have distinct phases, characterized by different levels of spiritual development and material advancement.
So are we in a good phase right now or a bad phase?
Well, he doesn't shy away from pointing out some of the issues we're facing today, like political division, climate change, that sort of thing.
Like he sees those things as signs of a decline.
He does bring it up as a possibility, but he also sees these challenges as opportunities for growth and transformation, like a chance to learn from the mistakes of the past and create a more harmonious future.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
Not at all. He's actually quite optimistic about the potential for humanity to evolve and create a better world. But he thinks we need to be aware of these cycles, these patterns of history, so we can make conscious choices about the future we want to create.
Okay, that makes sense. So we're not just pawns in some cosmic game. We have the power to shape our own destiny.
Exactly. And that brings us to his discussion of the Anunnaki. You familiar with them?
Yeah, the Anunnaki. They're those powerful beings from Sumerian mythology, right?
Yeah.
The ones who are often associated with the creation of humans.
Right. LaCroix suggests they might be more than just mythological figures. He even suggests that they could be advanced beings, possibly even extraterrestrial, who had a hand in shaping early human civilization.
Whoa. Ancient astronauts. Now we're really going down the rabbit hole.
Well, it's a theory that's been out there for a while, this idea of ancient alien intervention. And LaCroix seems to be open to the possibility.
Okay, so we've got ancient symbols, lost civilizations, cosmic catastrophes, and the possibility of extraterrestrial influence. Where does this all lead? What's LaCroix's ultimate takeaway?
Well, he brings it all together with his perspective on the age of Aquarius. It's this astrological age that many believe we're moving into now. LaCroix sees it as a time of major transformation.
Okay, I've heard the term Age of Aquarius thrown around, but I'll be honest, I'm not really sure what it's all about. Like, is it just astrological mumbo-jumbo?
Well, in astrology, each age is associated with certain themes and energies. The Age of Aquarius is linked with things like innovation, humanitarianism, a focus on technology and knowledge.
So like a shift in the collective vibe, a change in how we approach things.
Exactly, and it's seen as a time when old structures and paradigms break down, paving the way for new ideas and ways of being.
So it's not just about technological advancement, it's a shift in consciousness.
Right, exactly. LaCroix thinks this shift in consciousness is key to unlocking that ancient knowledge we were talking about, the knowledge encoded in those ancient sites.
So he sees this Age of Aquarius as a potential gateway to a new golden age.
Yeah, he does. A period of peace, harmony, spiritual enlightenment, a time when humanity reconnects with its true potential.
Sounds pretty idealistic. Like, how do we even get there from where we are now?
LaCroix stresses the importance of personal transformation, as a foundation for collective change.
So it's not about waiting for some external event or some leader to come and save us. It's about individuals waking up and changing themselves.
Yeah. It's about people connecting to something larger than themselves, tapping into their inner wisdom.
So by raising our own consciousness, we contribute to the raising of collective consciousness.
Right. He connects this idea to his experiences at Burning Man, that festival focused on self-expression and community. He sees it as a glimpse into what a new golden age could look like.
Burning Man, huh? I've heard about it, but never been. Lots of crazy costumes and art installations, right?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But it's also a place where people come together to celebrate creativity, to connect with each other, and to explore new ways of being.
So in LaCroix's view, it's like a microcosm of a more enlightened society. A little taste of what could be.
Exactly. And he thinks events like Burning Man show that we're ready for a shift, that we're yearning for a more meaningful, more connected way of life.
So it's not just some far-fetched utopian dream. It's a possibility that's within reach if we choose to embrace it.
That's what he's suggesting, that we have the power to co-create a better future, one that aligns with our true potential.
Wow. This deep dive has been quite a journey, from ancient Sumerian texts to modern-day festivals, from lost civilizations to the possibility of a new golden age.
LaCroix's work really makes you think, doesn't it? It challenges us to look beyond the surface of things, to question our assumptions about history and about ourselves.
He encourages us to embrace the unknown, to stay curious, to remain open to the possibility that we're capable of so much more than we've been led to believe.
It's a reminder that we're all part of something much larger than ourselves, and that we have a role to play in shaping the future.
This has been a truly fascinating exploration of the hidden history of humanity. It's given us a lot to ponder.
Yeah, LaCroix definitely throws out some bold ideas, and whether you agree with all of his theories or not, his work definitely sparks the imagination and inspires us to explore deeper, to ask bigger questions.
Exactly. So, to all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the mysteries of the past and the possibilities of the future. Keep those minds open, and we'll catch you on the next one.